we go. Welcome to our first BFL Draft Lottery Broadcast. A few things I would like to note. Many of you guys have no idea what the fuck is going on, but that's okay. We'll clear it up for you. So, our commissioner, or your commissioner I should say, Nate Lombach, has finally allowed a third party to do the draft lottery. Now, why was this done? One, I kept bothering him for about 5 years. Two, it's just a lot more fun to do it this way. So I'm going to give you a brief explanation about how this works, and then we'll unveil the results. So the idea was to make this as much like the NBA draft lottery as possible. In order to do this, we needed 14 ping pong balls. So I made 14 ping pong balls, number 1 through 14. Clarification, I didn't actually make the ping pong balls. I went to Walmart, bought them, then I got the Sharpie and kind of numbered them up, just so we're clear. Second thing, you will have 1,001 possible combinations with these 14 ping pong balls if you choose 4 at a time to select the numbers. So once number 1 is pulled out, number 1 can't be pulled again. So if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, that odds would be 1 out of 1,001. Now, everybody had a percentage based on the balls that they had before. Drew previously would have had 8 out of 36 balls having the best odds of getting the best possible draft selection. So 8 out of that 36, which would be 22.2%. So everybody would be assigned one of these 1,001 combinations. Drew is actually going to be assigned 222 out of those 1,001 combinations. Horvath, or the franchise formerly known as Horvath, was 7 out of 36, and he'll have 194 possible combinations. This goes all the way down the list, and everything is filled in just as the NBA. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is assigned to the top worst person. Sorry, Drew. Or actually, no, Drew is 5th place winner. That's off. Yay! Alright, anyways. So, moving on here. So there'll be 1,001 possible combinations you can have. The only one that is not assigned is 1,001. The last possible combination, which is 11, 12, 13, and 14, is assigned to nobody because that would throw off the odds that we previously have established in the BFL in the last 10, 12 years that we've been doing the lottery system. So, a quick rundown of who has what odds. Drew has 22.2% odds of actually winning the lottery, or actually getting the first pick in the lottery. John Horvath franchise has 19.4% chance of getting the first pick. John Sabaka has 16.7% chance of actually getting it. Mike McQueen has 13.9% chance of actually getting the first pick. Dom Piccioni, nice to see you, Dom, 11.1% chance of getting into the first pick. Ryan McQueen has an 8.3% chance of getting to the first pick. Ben Campbell has a 5.6% chance of getting the first pick. Side note, if he actually gets the first pick, he'll probably won't realize it for about another month. So if he's on the clock, he's on the clock. Keep it going. Then you got our last possible odds, which would be Mike Goodwin. Has a 2.8% chance of actually getting the first pick in this lottery system. The top 4 place winners from last year are not in the lottery, so therefore their picks have already been established. Picks 12, 11, 10, and 9. This is actually done 3 times. So the lottery has 3 actual pulls. So we'll pull 3 times 4 different balls out, and those combinations will line up. Now, if one is repeated, which is very unlikely that the same numbers will be repeated, or if a previous person who has been the first, for example, the first person who has their numbers pulled, if they also have the numbers for the second combination awarded to them, then that one is basically erased out, and then we put the balls back in, and we draw the 4 balls again to make sure it's the second, third is different than the actual fourth. Now, after the first 3 pulls, or the 3 first legit pulls that we kind of have, then it's going to be kind of a waterfall system as the NBA does. So therefore, you'll never finish more than 3 places behind where you actually thought you would. So Drew, having the best odds, cannot possibly finish even worse than 4th in this setup. Horvath, having the second best, cannot finish worse than 5th in this setup. So hopefully you guys kind of understand how that's rolling there. So we do it 3 times, and then after 3 times, everything is waterfalled in. So when we do the actual unveiling, you'll kind of see if actually somebody actually does jump up into the lottery, which would technically be the first 3 picks of this process. Before we start to unveil the lottery selections, we do need to take a moment of remembrance for our good friend Matt Hansen. In honor of our 17th BFL season, we will be wearing this commemorative patch this season on all BFL players that are a member of a BFL fantasy football team. So, in remembrance, Golden Year 17. As was already previously established, picks 12, 11, 10, and 9 have already been established. The 12th overall pick is going to go to the Dirtballs FC franchise, which is owned and run by Nate Lonbach. This franchise, you can note, has 3 stars. What these 3 stars represent? The first star is there are no keepers in the league, so he kind of won the championship. The second star, IDP had not been fully established, or had not the 8 to 10 keeper round been moved all the way up. So we're going to say those are 2 technicalities. And the third one is, ironically, or coincidentally you could say, is when the Orlando Breakers franchise had left the league. Also note, none of those 3 stars were earned while the Orlando Breakers were in the BFL. But the 12th overall pick goes to the franchise owned and operated by Nate Lombach, better known as Dirtballs FC. The 11th overall pick is going to go to the franchise run and operated by Brian McDonald. This is Cobra Kai, if you will. Who? I don't know who the fuck Brian McDonald is, but he's got the 11th overall selection here, so we're going to go with that. Brian, however, has continued the great tradition of the Cavalry division dominating the hell out of the other 2 in the BFL. So, the 11th overall selection is going to be to Cobra Kai. Coming off in a 10-4 record, the 10th overall selection is going to go to Word Salad Prez, owned and operated by Seth Huffman. Holy shit, Seth, you made the playoffs? Congrats, man. That's a step up. We like to see that improvement here at the BFL. Anyways, with that 10-4 record, he will have the 10th overall selection. So he's probably going to get, the shit selection somewhere in like the 6th, 7th purgatory area. Congrats, Seth. With the 9th selection overall, and having over 7,000 points last year, and finishing with the best record of 11-3, and the championship. What? Oh, seriously? He didn't win the championship? He had the best record and the most points, and he didn't win the championship? That's like the most Phil Manef thing ever. Anyways, Phil Manef, the franchise's Big Philly style, will be selecting 9th overall in the upcoming 2019 draft. At this point, this concludes the predetermined draft selections. The rest of these selections will now be entering into the BFL Lottery. So, to quickly recap of how this should line up. With the 8th pick, it should be must ask you a question. Then the 7th pick should be the Detroit Blizzard. 6th pick should be Withers Winners. 5th pick should be Dom. 4th pick should be Balls First. 3rd pick should be Steel Reserves. 2nd pick should be the Crimson Guard. And then the 1st pick should go to Luck My Balls by Drew. With the 8th overall selection of the 2019 BFL Draft, it will be awarded to Mike Goodwin of the Must Ask You a Question franchise. Congrats, Mike. You did not move up at all. That's kind of what we expected. You had a 2.8% chance of actually getting into the lottery. You did not. The 7th overall pick goes to the Detroit Blizzard. The Detroit Blizzard finished an unimpressive 4-10 last year. Hopefully, having the 7th overall selection in this year's draft will allow him not to suck so much. Hopefully, Ben, you can do better. Hopefully. The 6th overall selection in this year's draft is going to go to Balls First, the franchise owned and operated by Mike McQueen for as long as I can remember. Mike McQueen had a disappointing 6-8 season last year, but hopes to rebuild on very young talent that he has accumulated throughout the years. With his young talent and this high draft pick, hopefully the tide will be churning for the Balls First franchise. The 5th overall pick in this year's draft will go to the Steel Reserves franchise, owned and operated by John Zabaka. As you can see, John Zabaka has won the championship 3 times. 4? Oh no, I think that's 5-time winner, John Zabaka of the BFL. Congrats. Unfortunately, John finished 6-8 last year. Could not find anybody to pull off that miraculous midseason trade, apparently. Better luck this year, John. The 4th overall pick in the 2019 BFL Draft belongs to the Crimson Guard franchise that is owned and operated by John Horvath, or may have been previously owned and operated by John Horvath. Do we even know who's operating this team this year? The computer? They can do that? They can't do that. Okay, that'll be a game time decision who actually owns this team, but whoever does has the 4th overall selection this year. Congrats to whoever the hell this is. Now we're down to the top 3 picks. This is essentially the true lottery. So far, the 3 teams that have not been selected, out of kind of no random order here, we have Don Piccioni, Ryan McQueen, and then additionally, gotta check my notes, we have Drew. Drew, I actually have no idea how to say your last name, but you guys are in the top 3. So without further ado, here we go. The 3rd overall pick in this year's 2019 BFL Draft is Drew of the Luck My Balls franchise. Congrats, Drew. You have the 3rd overall pick this year. Maybe this will be the year. Or maybe you'll trade all your players and all your keepers and all your draft picks in week 3. Again. The 2nd overall pick in this year's draft belongs to Dom Piccioni. I believe his actual team name is Dom, with like a 0 in the middle there. I don't know if that's creativity or just plain laziness. I'm going to say kind of laziness because he finished 5-9 last year, but he got the 2nd overall pick this year. Don actually made quite a big jump here to get into the 2nd overall pick. He actually had a possibility of, let me find my spreadsheet there, Don actually had 11.1% chance of getting the 1st overall pick. However, he'll have to settle for the 2nd overall pick, which means the 1st pick in the 2019 BFL Draft belongs to Ryan McQueen. Ryan had an 8.3% chance of actually earning this pick, but don't worry guys, I'm sure he'll find a way to fuck it up like he always does. That concludes our 2019 draft presentation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you didn't, I really don't give a shit, but these are your final drawings. Cheerio.